All right. Hello, everybody. Greetings from Melbourne Beach, Florida. And this is part one of, or maybe part many, doing a garden tour. So I'm going to give you the rundown of all the things we've done in the house and our garden. So this is our little blue house, built in 1964. I think I got it right. So yeah, that strip there is so you can move a car. You can put one car there and still get another car in and out of the driveway, which is really super handy, actually. Our mailbox. All the wood is corroding. Oh, there's a lizard. Can you see the lizard? Oh, there he goes. Yeah, because everything here corrodes. Anything with metal, with nails, anything, it's all corroding. Anyway, so let's go do a garden tour. So let's start with, first of all, the grass. It's called St. Augustine. I suppose in Edmonton it would be considered a weed. It's really not the softest stuff to walk on. It is rainy season here, so it's been raining every day. In fact, it's like cloudy here, which is like really rare, but we're like between a couple of big storms. So the grass is relatively green. It stays green all year. Got to cut it all year. Been battling with areas that end up looking like that. It's actually a fungus in the grass because it gets so wet here. The roots literally rot out. There's another spot over there we'll show in a bit. This tree. It's a relatively small version of it. It's called the gumbo limbo. It is a native, also known as the tourist tree, because the bark actually peels off like burnt skin. Call it a tourist tree. It grows in USDA zone, climate zones 10 and warmer, so you won't find this anywhere outside of the coastal areas where we are, because it requires a lot of heat, and it can't do freezes at all. It loses leaves at odd times. It's constantly shedding leaves. Like there's a few you can see here. I haven't quite figured it out. It's always shedding leaves. Grows pretty quick. Over here, classic, what is called we call it a cabbage palm or a sable palm. It grows here. It's a native. There's 12 palms that are native to Florida. This is one of them. Believe it or not, you actually have to cut off. You've got to skin these guys. They don't naturally shed their fronds. So all of this here I cut off with, believe it or not, with a box cutter. All the way up to that point there, you just kind of got to cut these guys off. They won't fall off. Well, they'll fall off eventually in time, but it's like literally years and years. Yeah, ferns growing in full sun. Believe it or not. What I've learned with ferns is that here, all you need is the moisture. And they can actually tolerate a lot of heat. They can actually tolerate a lot of sun, as long as they're getting the moisture. Over here, another gumbo limbo, bigger one. You see what I mean? Called it tourist tree. He's constantly shedding. It's almost like a poplar bark, or birch, like a birch bark, kind of, almost. Anyway, all of these beds up front with the, I need to weed whack, so sad. All these beds I made. So these are 48-cent pavers from Home Depot. They're on their side, and I'm using them as a border. This little bridge was a rescue. I found it in the empty lot next door, and put it in. I guess I could put some water in there. But just stepping back, oh, and this stone, this was also a rescue. This was actually in the middle of the yard, right where I'm kind of pointing. Just kind of seemed out of place. It was a little dumb. It's what's called coquina, which is the rock that is naturally formed here. It's basically all shell. It's just compressed shell. Very interesting. So down here, stuff's called rock rose. It is amazing. It will grow anywhere, can propagate off anything. I could rip a chunk off of it, literally just throw it somewhere over here, and it would propagate. It's taking over. It'll root in anything, grow in anything, propagate ridiculously easy. Even put this little guy in here. I don't know what it is. It's awfully pretty. I don't know what it is. Bromeliad. Behind it, something called a cordyline. Also incredibly easy to propagate. More ferns. I forget what these are called. We didn't plant that. It just popped up. But they're all over the place. Another gumbo limbo tree. Back here, most of these plants are actually rescues. So the bromeliads, the bromeliad there, all the red bromeliads, these are rescues. Our neighbors demolished their house and are rebuilding, and all these bromeliads were bordering all around their house, and we rescued them. This little guy here, something called the Song of India. These are rescues as well. These are propagated from cuttings. You just break them off, you stick them in the ground, and they will grow. It's crazy how easy they grow here. More ferns. Ferns. This, of course, the weeds. All the shell here we bought. So you can get a bucket of shell for 75 bucks. It's not actually a very good mulch because there's no nutrients to it, and the calcium is really, really high. But it looks good. These are gumbo limbo leaves. I should probably blow out of there. This is something called the lady palm. It is a palm tree. Likes the shade, but getting a little bit too much sun, get a little fried. Yeah, it's growing. There's new growth. It's happy. You can see there's new growth in there. New stalk right there. So it's growing. It's happy. Likes the shade. This is all transplanted grass. This is just moved. It looks patchy because it's actually patches. Alocasia, elephant ear. Happy here, doing well. Getting maybe a little too much sun, getting a little fried, but it's okay. Look at the color on this. Isn't it amazing? This isn't a cloudy day. This is like no sun. The color of this thing, it's called a tea plant, T-I, a Hawaiian tea. It's in the cordyline family. You could literally just break this off right halfway up the stalk and stick it in the ground. It'll be fine. Another cordyline back there. It's called a watermelon. Just the colors. It's just so, everything is just crazy here. It's so beautiful how the colors are. Another native sable palm, providing a little bit of shade for these guys. But yeah, that's just one little kind of corner, and with the exception maybe of the big tea plant, everything else was either a rescue or both of these, that cordyline there and that one back there were bought at a local, I don't even want to call it a nursery. It's just some retirees running, well, basically plant people that just kind of running plant operations in the backs of their houses because it's so easy to grow stuff here. Anything will grow. I gotta ask Eva what that little guy is. Really, really pretty. It's rock roses. I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. I didn't plant it. So yeah, this one little kind of circular bed here. Yeah. And just rock roses are just taking over everything. Like there is shell under there. Everywhere here. It's all shell. Everything there's all shell, and it's just kind of grown over the shell. It's taken over. It's crazy. Okay, backing up. So there's one little bed. Backing up, the bigger bed here. So the red, those are called ixoras. And those were all, I transplanted every single one of them. All of the red ixoras there that you see back against the house were all crammed up under the bamboo there. So this is bamboo. I forget the real name. People call it the Buddha belly bamboo. It's got a real name. I forget what it is, but it's got a real tropical vibe to it. It's really cool. But anyway, all of those ixoras were crammed up just right under here. We didn't like it because we wanted to be able to see out the window. Eva's behind the window. You can't see her. But they were all crammed up there, and we moved them. Well, I moved them back there. All these border plants here, these are called oyster plants. Again, ridiculously easy to propagate and to move. I could pull one out of the ground and literally just throw it, and it would root. This is what's called a king sago, S-A-G-O. Not a palm. Looks like one. It's technically a cycad. Oh, and it's got a fern growing on it. I didn't even know that fern was there. Okay. But yeah, it's a cycad, one of the oldest plants on the planet. And it grows really, really slowly here. Don't know why, but just a slow grower. And a few potted plants in front of the house. These are all stuff that was moved from. Oh, there's Teddy. Teddy's on the chair. All of these we moved from Texas. Aloe vera, spider plant, pathos, that are really easy to grow here. They will grow. They are taking over an empty lot a few houses down. Bamboo. Forget what that thing is called, but another spider plant. Spider plants grow natively here. They're all over the place. They just need a lot of shade. I forget what this thing is called. It looks like it's rubber. It looks like it's fake. It doesn't look real. I forget what it's called. This thing is a form of plumeria called a bridal veil plumeria. It's blooming. But also easy to propagate. You could just snip this guy off anywhere and stick it in the ground. It'd be fine. But yeah, it's a form of plumeria. More of the rock rose stuff, so all of the green here. This should all be shell, and a month ago it was just all shell, and this stuff just has taken over. And there's no. I actually put weed sheeting down under the shell. There's weed sheeting, and so there's no soil. there's absolutely no soil. There's weed sheeting in their shell, and this stuff is like just happy. It's fine. Another tea plant, aka cordyline. This is a little palm that was in a pot indoors in Texas. I don't know what it is. It's growing really slow. I don't know what it is. Well, it's a palm, but don't know what kind of palm. Don't know what these little yellow guys are. They've got spikes. Here, they got a brand name called Blew My Mind. They're just like little ground cover. Back there is another form of, this guy is a cordyline. Over here is a croton. This is called a sloppy painter croton. I don't know what these crotons are called. Behind with the flower is a canna lily. The flowers are just spectacular. The colors are just crazy. Another canna lily here. Look at this. Look at the color on that. The leaves are variegated, and apparently when they're variegated like this, with the green and the red, so are the flowers. Apparently, but tea plant back there, aka cordyline, or aka tea plant, Hawaiian tea. Another native sable palm. That's a weed. It's called a coffee plant. It's a weed. This triple palm we had put in. It's called the scientific name is Phoenix robellini, aka robellini. They're from the Phoenix family. Phoenix palms all have spikes. You can see the spikes on the leaves. So yeah, you don't want to mess with them, but they're pretty. They're a nice, big fan. They will grow up slowly over time, but they're an extremely slow grower. But they like the sun, and a great look to them. Wanted to kind of be like an anchor point between these the windows. So more of this rock rose stuff. More of these little yellow guys. I don't know what they are. Oh, I forget what this guy's called. Probably an annual in Edmonton, but Perennial here, happy as a clam. Oh, this guy is interesting. This is called a coral plant. Little red flowers on them, and it's really just odd. It's got this kind of a bit of a prehistoric look to him. We wanted something on the side of the house that was a little more, I don't know what's the word. It's just different. It's different. Or rescue bromeliads. These are rescues from the neighbor, and a different style of ixora. It's called a Maui ixora. Much bigger leaves. That's our bedroom window. That's the backyard. We'll do a separate tour for that. Couple more native sable palms, aka cabbage palm. I actually have to do some pruning of those guys. Probably can't see it here, but maybe you can. The yellow, it's all gone to seed. Yeah, and all else being equal, you'd probably prefer the seeds to come down. Create quite a mess. But yeah, not technically on my land, but close enough. Plumeria. This plumeria was a rescue from Texas. I was growing in a pot in Texas, and we actually rented a U-Haul just for this plant. So we could bring it back all the way here. It took some heavy damage in the U-Haul, and took some heavy damage in the move, but it's back and it's flowering. And well, it did flower. It's not flowering right now, but it has flowered recently, and it's off to the races. It took a long time to recover from the move and from getting bashed around. And I mean, we lost some branch here. We lost branch right there, but these guys, I mean, they'll just take off here. They are happy. So that's the front yard. Well, no, maybe, hold on, not entirely front yard, but I'm running out of battery on my thing. Who knew it would take 17 minutes to describe a front yard? Our Buddha belly bamboo. My truck. Oh, didn't go over here. It's the other side. Yet another native sable palm. Although I think this is what's called a Chinese fan palm. It's a form of sable, but I think it's actually slightly different than the others. I don't know that to be true. Some ferns at the base and some irises here that are all getting a little bit too much sun, and they're done flowering. They produce some really brilliant blue flowers in the springtime. Side of the house, carport, very exciting. This is what's called a sea grape. Green all year, just prolific growers here. I love the salt air, using it as a shade, a barrier on the side of the carport. This guy here is what's called a crinum lily. Prolific grower. It's just crazy. At all these are pups on the base. Down here there's actually a baby palm. I think it's a baby coconut. I'm not entirely sure how it got there. More of the rock rose stuff that is just growing like a weed. I rescue aloe from Texas in a pot. Back here we've got a towel drying rack to dry our towels from the beach and whatnot, with a buoy that whatever these things, yeah, buoys we found on the beach. And then we've got some stuff here that needs to be potted, or maybe not. We haven't figured it out. Another lady palm that we bought from this guy down the street. Don't know what that is. I think this is a type of orchid. This stuff grows like a weed here. It's super happy. Yeah, it is an orchid. I forget what it's called, but it grows all over here. Like, it's everywhere, and very happy. Some more aloe from Texas, Dracana/Dracena. This guy, also a Texas transplant, but in the corner here, these are all rescues. So all these Dracenas were from neighbor's lot. Some of these we just propagated these 2 down here, but the bigger tree is a rescue, and this thing's just amazing. Like you cut it, you cut it off. This was a cut right here. So you cut it off, and then you stick the bottom. What you cut, you stick it in the ground. That's one of them down there. It'll grow, it'll root, and then from the top where you cut it, it'll sprout off like 4 or 5 more heads. So in another few years, this thing will be taking over this corner. Yeah, it's the side of the house. We got a lot more to do. We're going to put a barrier here. We're going to put a shade fence here of trees, something called probably clusia, just to provide a barrier of shade, or a barrier from the neighbor's house. That's the neighbor's queen palm. Neighbor's got a bunch of queen palms. Not a huge fan of the queen palm. And a big banyan in the backyard that is growing rather prolifically. Yeah, so that'll be the backyard tour. But that's the end of the front yard garden tour. 20 minutes later. I think I shared everything I know. Maybe I'll do a quick snippet later tonight when the lights are on. Eva is the floral designer. She's the kind of the brains of all of this, but when it came to the lighting, I did all the lighting. And at night it actually looks pretty nice. But that is our little house and our little garden. Bye for now.